Long before history had a name, before the first king wore a crown or the first map was drawn, there was a land cradled between two great rivers. A land where the dust itself seemed to hold the memory of eternity. This was Mesopotamia, the heart of what we now call Iraq. This isn't just a story about that land. It's the story of a boy named Naram, born where the Tigris and Euphrates meet, a place where the past never truly sleeps. The boy arrived with the dawn, his first cries mingling with the morning songs of birds and the soft murmur of the water. His mother named him Naram, which meant the one chosen by fate. The village elders nodded wisely, whispering among themselves. The rivers had risen the night of his birth, a gentle, celebratory swell, as if welcoming one of their own. Naram grew up in a humble village of mud brick homes, a stone's throw from the legendary city of Ur. His father was a scribe, a master of the wedge-shaped cuneiform that held the secrets of their world on clay tablets. From his father, Naram learned a profound truth: words, etched in clay, could outlast the sharpest sword. But it was from his mother that he learned an even greater lesson: stories held more power than any king. Every evening, as the stars began to blanket the desert sky, she would weave tales for him. Tales of the mighty Gilgamesh on his quest for immortality, of the radiant goddess Inanna who descended into the underworld, of gods who loved and fought and grieved with the same passion as mortals. To young Naram, these weren't just myths. They felt like memories, echoes of a time he had somehow known. The year Naram turned 16, the sky turned against them. A devastating drought seized the land. The vibrant green fields turned to brittle, cracked earth. The livestock grew thin and perished. The people, who once looked to the heavens with reverence and hope, now stared up with eyes full of fear. One sweltering evening, Naram was helping his father in the temple, carefully organizing the ancient clay tablets that served as their library, their history. As he moved the heavy storage jar, his fingers brushed against something hidden beneath the floorboards. It was a fragment of a clay tablet, broken and ancient, covered in symbols older than any he had ever seen, older than the city of Ur itself. As his father took the piece, all the color drained from his face. He spoke in a hushed, trembling whisper. "This tablet, it speaks of a forgotten covenant. A sacred promise between our ancestors and the rivers. It warns that when the people forsake the land, the rivers, in their sorrow, will turn away from them." That very night, Naram had a dream so vivid it felt real. The great Euphrates River appeared to him, not as a body of water, but as a woman. Her form was flowing and translucent, her face etched with a profound and timeless sorrow. She looked directly at him, and her voice was the sound of weeping water as she spoke a single, chilling sentence: "Remember us, or be forgotten." That dream, that warning, became a fire in Naram's soul. He knew he could no longer stay in his village, watching his world wither away. Driven by the river woman's words, he left his home and began a journey. It was a pilgrimage through the ghosts of greatness. He walked through the haunting ruins of Akkad, the fallen majesty of Babylon, the shattered remnants of Nineveh. These were cities swallowed by the relentless desert sands, yet as he passed through their broken walls and silent courtyards, he felt they were still breathing. In the once mighty Babylon, he encountered an old, blind storyteller sitting by a crumbled gate. The old man, hearing Naram's purpose, shared his wisdom. "Empires do not fall when they are conquered by armies," he said, his voice raspy like sand against stone. "They fall when they forget who they are." In Nineveh, Naram saw the devastation firsthand. He walked through the ashes of burned libraries, where the collective knowledge of generations had turned to smoke. He saw magnificent statues of kings and gods, smashed and toppled. But even amidst the destruction, he felt an undeniable pulse beneath the rubble, a stubborn heartbeat of memory that refused to be silenced. The farther he traveled, the more a powerful realization dawned on him. Iraq, this land of his, wasn't just dirt and rock. It was a living archive, a breathing testament to the very dawn of humanity. His long journey finally led him south, to the vast, shimmering marshes at the edge of the world. Here, where civilization seemed to melt into a primordial landscape of reeds and water, he met a woman named Amar. She was a guardian of the old ways, her life intertwined with the rhythms of the marshlands. The people here still lived as their ancestors had for millennia, in houses woven from reeds, their lives flowing with the water. They still sang the ancient songs to the rivers. Amar looked into Naram's eyes and saw the quest that had driven him there. She told him the truth he had been seeking. The rivers are not angry because of a simple drought, she explained, her voice calm and clear as the water around them. They are in mourning. They are sad because people have stopped listening. For generations, they build their cities, they fight their wars, they destroy, and they leave. They take and take, without a single word of gratitude, without remembering the source of their life. It was here, with Amara, that Naram understood what he had to do. Together, they prepared for the ancient ritual. Under the light of a full moon, with the broken tablet resting before them, they began to read its forgotten words aloud. Naram's voice, filled with the weight of his journey, carried the ancient covenant across the water, returning the forgotten promises to the wind and the sky. And as he spoke the final lines, a miracle happened. The water around them began to stir. The rivers began to rise, not with the destructive force of a flood, but with the gentle, life-giving embrace of a promise renewed. But to hold memory is to carry a great burden. After the ritual, Naram was faced with a choice that would define not just his life, but his very existence. The spirits of the land offered him a path back to his village, back to his family, to live a normal life. But they warned him that if he left, the memory he had rekindled would slowly fade again, like a story whispered once and then lost to the wind. The other path was to stay. To become a permanent guardian of memory, his spirit forever bound to the land and its rivers, a living storyteller for eternity. He looked at the flowing water, at the ancient land that had given him everything, and he made his choice. He chose the land. Centuries flowed by like the rivers themselves. Empires rose in splendor and crumbled into dust. Kings and conquerors wrote their names on the pages of history, only to be erased by time. Borders were drawn and redrawn. But through it all, strange rumors persisted among travelers and nomads who crossed the ancient plains of Iraq. They spoke of a mysterious man who lived near the rivers, a man who told stories that felt older than time itself. They said his eyes held the depth of the Euphrates, and when he spoke, the wind would grow still, and the very land seemed to lean in to listen. Today, when many people hear the name Iraq, they think of headlines, of conflict, of ruins from recent wars. But that is only the dust on the surface. If you brush that dust away, you find stories older than civilization itself. The story of the first word ever written. The first law ever codified. The first prayer ever offered to the heavens. These beginnings belong not just to Iraq, but to all of us. And if you go there, and stand by the banks of the Tigris or the Euphrates, and truly listen past the noise of the modern world, you might just hear the ancient rivers whispering a timeless truth. We were here before everything. And we will remain long after all else is forgotten. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more journeys into the heart of history.